Alright, so I guess
Hold on to my hand. Quick, if we don't get out of here, you'll be swept away.
yeah, stop sweeping like freaking.
I'm trying!
I held on to Jeff and pulled him out of the sewer onto the rainy street. The raindrops slapped our faces, washing all
I don't think that's slapping you. It's just. Are you really busy?
the muddy water away. We had no idea that today, of all days, torrential rains would come and flood us out of our home. I almost lost one of my only friends, and this was a scare I never wanted to have again in my entire life. This is just a flashback of my most awful moment in the sewer. My life wasn't always spent in smelly sewer tunnels. It was almost perfect. Make
Whose house is that? Oh. Is it underground house in the sewer?
sure you keep watching to see how my perfect life turned into a life in an underground sewer tunnel, and how I eventually became rich and helped everyone around me. When life was normal, I lived in a pretty modern house in Las Vegas with my twin brother Cameron and my parents. They were both well-known psychologists and had hundreds of clients, including some well-known celebrities, so we were pretty well off. Cameron and I didn't have to share a room because our house was huge. Although we were identical, we had totally different personalities. I was the shy, quiet, introverted one, and he was loud, popular, and a bit nuts. At school, everyone knew him, and he was always invited to the cool kids parties. This made
Yeah, cool kids.
life a bit hard for me because people kept mistaking me for him. I didn't really want to be bothered, if you know what I mean. Popularity wasn't a goal for me. One day, I was walking through the hallway, and a beautiful blonde girl walked up to me. She stared for a while, then slapped me hard on my face.
You jerk. Yeah, how could you cheat on Miranda? You
Miranda is the weirdest name I've ever heard in my life.
are such a dog.
What? I'm not Cameron. I'm his twin
Bro, he's not a dog. I mean, he's short as frick, but he's not a dog.
brother, Bradley.
What kind of excuse is that? He never mentioned having a twin brother.
I rolled my eyes and walked away. I'd had enough. That night, I dyed my hair red and asked my parents for money to go shopping.
Oh my god, don't kill your parents because they're not buying you clothes. Relax.
I went to the mall and bought a bunch of nerdy clothes. You know, kind of like
Who wants to be a nerd?
Carlton from The Fresh Prince. The next day, when I got ready for school, Cameron fell to his knees and rolled on the floor laughing.
Bro, what are you wearing? What happened to your hair? Mom, Dad, come look at this.
I'm tired of being mistaken for you. One of your girlfriends slapped me yesterday because you apparently cheated on her. Could you maybe try to be faithful for like once in your life?
I never wanted anything serious with Miranda anyway. I told her that from the beginning. I'm more into Tracy and Tiffany.
So as you can tell, I'm the nice one and Cameron is sort of a jerk. My life definitely began to improve
It's Thanos, it's Thanos. Please, Gray. Give me 3 weeks. Please.
at school because I could be my own person now. I was doing extremely well in all my classes, and at that rate, I knew I would get into a great college. Everything was perfect. Then I got home one afternoon and heard my parents talking.
We can't use our children as experiments.
Are you forgetting that's why we had them?
Yeah, but I've sort of grown to like them.
This is our contribution to science. Come on, we'll become even more famous.
Ugh, fine. You're right. So which one are we sending away?
Bradley.
What? But he's the nice one.
What are you guys talking about? Where are you sending me? What's going on? I don't want to go anywhere.
We're conducting an experiment. We want to see how much an environment can affect a person's personality. A nature versus nurture sort of thing. You won't understand, but I don't think you've covered that stuff in your science classes yet.
No, but I read a lot and I know what you're talking about. So why are you sending only one of us away?
We want to keep one of you in this comfortable home environment. Cameron is already a lovely boy, so we will continue to observe him here.
What? How's he lovely?
Are we talking about the same Cameron here? Because he's sort of a jerk.
You mean a snake?
So if you're keeping him here, then where are you sending me?
The sewer.
My mom said with a big smile on her face. You have got to be kidding me. We're just going to see it or something, right?
No. You're going to live there for a year and then we're going to see if your personality changes after.
That has got to be illegal. You can't just abandon me and force me to live in a sewer. You're both psychos. I'm calling the police.
We already applied for permission. Because this is a scientific experiment, it's perfectly fine. So the police
Oh god. Is this a family of snakes? And he's adopted or something?
won't do anything, honey.
At that moment, Cameron walked in.
What's going on?
Cameron asked. They're sending me to live in a sewer. They're psycho, totally out of their minds.
Oh, cool, bro. Can I have your room then? I've always wanted a special room just for my video games.
The next day, they asked me to pack a duffel bag, and they drove me to the grossest part of town.
Do you have your cell phone? We'll send you messages once in a while to check on you.
I couldn't answer her. I couldn't even speak to them.
Just don't. Okay, so you see there's a ladder? Go up it.
They showed me how to get to the sewer tunnels and just left me there. I nearly started crying, but I decided to man up and to go see what it was like under there. I walked for a while and the bench was unbearable. Then I reached a place with lights and I could hear different sounds like laughter, talking, and music. I walked closer and saw a group of people.
Hey, look, a newbie.
Have you lost your way, young man? What interesting red hair you have.
My name is Bradley and my parents have abandoned me. They dropped me near the entrance and left me to fend for myself. I don't know what to do. That's when I saw Jeff for the first time. He was neatly dressed and looked like he was almost 50 years old.
Well, welcome to the sewer life, little man. My name is Jeff. I'll help you get adjusted to everything here.
Just like that?
Yeah, I think it's really awful what your parents did to you, but hey, that's life. I once had it all, then I lost everything, and I'm happy the kind people who live here took me in. They ain't half bad. You'll be okay.
I wish I could say that I found these words comforting, but I didn't. I was coming from an amazing house in a great neighborhood, and this was the sewer. He took me to a place further down the tunnel.
What are you doing? Bruh. Nah, this is too gay. My parents were rich, but I live in a sewer. Nah, I'm gay in a sewer.
There, he had set up his own corner between several cardboard boxes. He told me I could put my stuff there too, and that he'd find me something to sleep on for the night. We shared a can of beans, then he fell asleep. I couldn't sleep at all though. The environment was just too strange and awful. There were rats squeaking, and I was afraid that cockroaches might walk all over my face. The next morning, I had lots of questions. So, what do you do all day?
Well, I walk around town looking for odd jobs. I make enough for food, but not enough for rent, as you can see.
Where do you take a shower?
There's a homeless shelter where we can do that. It's full though, that's why we can't stay there. And frankly, this sewer is more comfortable.
Where do you wash your clothes?
The laundromat. Life isn't as complicated here as you might think. We all get by, and we get by just fine.
The first few days, Jeff treated me like I was his own son. He showed me the ropes and showed me how I could make a little extra money to buy food too. So in no time, I settled into sewer life and developed my own little routine. Life was nowhere close to perfect, don't get me wrong. I've seen some awful things in that sewer, but the worst is that it floods when there's rain. And this brings me to that horrible incident I mentioned earlier. One
Why do you spoil the whole video? On the first second. Stupid. This isn't how you're supposed to write a page, bro.
night, while we were sleeping, I woke up and found water everywhere. I woke Jeff up and told him we had to leave, and by the time we reached the entrance, the water was already waist high. It was probably the scariest night of my life trying to get me and Jeff out of there. We spent the rest of the night on a street corner, and when the waters subsided the next day, we went back to check what was left in the sewer. We had lost everything. But everyone was okay, and that's all that mattered. My parents didn't even check on me after that. They seemed not to care at all. I hated them. A few months later, I was sitting on my old mattress reading a comic book. Jeff had gone to find some work, and I was starting to feel a bit bored. I got up and started walking around. Then I found some guy spraying graffiti all over one of the sewer walls. It was super creative and artistic. Wow, you're really talented.
Thanks, new kid. My name is Mike. Want to hang out with me and the guys later?
Okay, sure.
Everyone here is saying that you. I'm done.
Later, I met Mike's friends. There was Jacob, who dressed like a goth with spiky hair. I think he was about 18. Then there was Rob, a short muscular guy who looked like he was about 20.
Which one's which? I'm confused.
Finally, there was Greg, who was about my age. He looked quite ordinary. We went to hang out in a park. We spoke for a long time, drank some beers, and ate snacks. Then we went back to our different parts of the sewer. The next day, Rob approached me while I was on my way back from the laundromat.
Hey,
Give me all your money. Why they push?
there's something I want to ask you. Got a sec?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, after meeting you last night, all the guys decided that you're pretty safe.
Safe? For what?
We have an idea. Maybe we should sit down so I can discuss this with you properly.
You're gonna rob a sewer. No.
Okay. We walked to a nearby bench and sat down.
So, I'm sure you don't want to live in the sewer forever. Neither do we.
Yeah?
So, we came up with a sort of plan.
What?
We're going to rob a bank. I'm serious.
But how are you all gonna do that? Do you have any experience?
We're going to try to get that first. So, we're going to start by robbing small stores, then bigger
Rob the sewers. Keep telling me. It's like $5.
ones. Then, when we finally get the hang of it, we'll try the bank.
I know you're thinking I'm really
Oh yeah, let's just try. We can just redo it next time.
not that type of guy, but I was also really annoyed, frustrated, and angry. Angry because my parents abandoned me and just overall upset at the world. And when you feel like that, you do things you wouldn't normally do. So I agreed, and before you knew it,
No, you're giving it to. Oh my god, your parents made so much money.
I was a valuable member of a gang. Our first few robberies went well. Rob got some weapons for all of us, and to this day, I have no idea how he did that. Every night, we'd rob a different store, and we were never caught. Eventually, we had too much money, and it wasn't safe to store it anywhere in the sewer. So we all opened different bank accounts, and we split our profits equally. I went from having dimes to thousands. This created a thrill, and we just wanted more and more. We continued with smaller stores and decided against the bank because it was a bit too risky. We decided that when we finally had enough money, we'd open a business and try to earn an honest living. We just needed startup capital, if you know what I mean. Before
I think they need startup capital too. You don't have to rob a bank to be rich, alright? Invest in booster cookies on Hypixel Skyblock. More money. Pog.
I knew it, 3 years had passed. We had a fortune saved up and we hadn't been caught once. We used some of our money to open a small car repair shop at first. Then as we made more money, we started other businesses. Mike, Jacob, Rob, Greg, and I all had different businesses. Mine was a cafe because I love coffee and food. Our housing situation improved a lot too. We were no longer living in filth. We all moved into a reasonably priced apartment complex. We made sure to help our friends in the sewer too though. I rented a 2-bedroom apartment and one of the rooms was for Jeff. He helped at the cafe and we finally had a
My eyes watching Squid Game, bruh. I'm gonna spoil the 7th episode if you stop robbing people. Stupid.
comfortable life. You're probably wondering what happened to my parents? Well, I don't know. I completely cut them off. I got a new phone and
Oh, you cut their head off? But you just let him know you want to cut their head off. Alright, then.
changed my number shortly after our first successful robbery. I don't care about any of them, not even my twin brother, because he never tried to check on me to see how I was doing. If he'd been in my situation, I would have at least bought him food or something.